Mulholland, welcome to Australian Musician.
Thank you.
You're playing your last gig of the tour tonight.
Yep.
How's the tour gone for you?
It's been really good. It's been good fun. It's been ups and downs, and lots of sleeping in and lots of tired days. But it's been really good.
Tell me about the Rickenbacker you've got in your hand.
Yep. It's my baby, my pride and joy. I fell in love with it a couple of years ago. I was living in Melbourne actually. It's a 1993, I believe, and I drove up from Melbourne to Canberra in a day and a night to get it. I was desperate for it. I bought it off this student. I drove way out the heck in the middle of this complex of apartments and went in there, and she had like about 5 guitars. I've never seen so many beautiful guitars in my life, and it was so cheap. And I've wanted one for years, and I finally got it for a reasonable price.
What's your thought process when buying a guitar usually?
It's just a gut feeling, really. I'm pretty shallow. I like the way it looks to start with, and you kind of have a dream of what it's going to look like on you when you're on stage, and yeah.
Do you get attached to guitars on an emotional level, or are they just tools?
No, definitely attached. They take on personalities. Like if you write a song on one, and the song means a lot to you, then the guitar kind of takes on that quality. That was part of the process of writing that song as well. So yeah. And then when you sell a guitar or it leaves you, it's somehow a little part of you goes with it too. So I often feel a little bit heartbroken. It's like I'll never write a song like I did on that guitar. It's a bit sad.
Yeah. So having bought a new guitar, do you then have to buy a new guitar strap?
No, I don't care about straps actually. As long as it holds the thing up, I'm okay. I don't even care about colour or, as long as it doesn't drop it.
What about picks? Are you fussy with picks?
No, I'm pretty useless with picks as well. I go through lots of them. They sort of end up in the bottom of a pedal case or stuck between the keys of my synth. And my wife has little stashes of them around the house, out of pockets and things. So if ever I'm missing some, I have these places that I go to that she hides them.
Do you remember your first guitar?
My first guitar, yes, was a hand-me-down, and I've still got it. It's a Japanese Stratocaster. It's grey, and it's a beat-up old beast, and the lacquer is like split, and it's got one of those great big V-neck, baseball back necks, and it's been through the wars. It's been through 2 brothers before me, and I love it to bits. It's got broken frets above the 12th, so you can't play lead breaks above the 13. I don't know why I haven't got it fixed. It just seems like one of those things you put up with and then get used to, and it becomes one of the quirks of the guitar. Oh, I can't play a lead break above the 13. Yeah.
Tell me about some of the other guitars that you own.
So there's this one, and I've got an Ibanez. I just found it at Cash Converters. It's an Ibanez. What do they call it? Bob Weir Ibanez Les Paul copy, and it's just amazing. I quite like the old Ibanez guitar copies from the 70s. I think are really really cool guitars, and I've got a bass actually. I've got the Ashtray bridge cover, and just like there's just something about them that back then they made them strong, they made them solid, and they made them just like the originals, and sometimes they end up being just as good. Yeah.
Do you have particular chords that you gravitate to when you pick up a guitar?
Not really. Oh, maybe G. So always G, I suppose. And I don't know why. It's because I'm not a super technical guitar. I'm a bit of a plodder, but G's always a good start, especially because G you can just do that extreme song straight away. I often do that straight away.
So how do you prevent yourself from writing the same song over and over?
I don't know. I think essentially it's all just one big long song, really, isn't it? You're trying to write the perfect song, and each one has a particular element of the perfect song that you think in that certain part of your life is the perfect song, but then the perfect song changes, you know, from minute to minute, from year to year, and you're never going to write it. I'm never going to write the perfect song, but I don't know. I think playing other instruments helps me write different stuff. I write on piano as well, and I do synth stuff and looping and things. So if I get stuck, I'll move on to a different instrument. Yeah.
So what part did the guitar play in the creation of Haunted Haunted?
It was quite secondary actually. A lot of the Haunted Haunted album was written on piano. Yeah. And then all the colour parts were guitars. Yeah.
So when you're writing either on guitar or piano, are you hearing the additional sounds that end up on the album, or is it fairly basic?
Often I am, yeah. This time on the record, I had a producer help me produce it, a guy called Victor Van Boot, who's done a lot of stuff, a really amazing guy, and also Neil Baldock. So I wanted to open out the process and not have so much singular control over the aesthetic of the record. So it's kind of like a letting go and letting other people have input on the creative direction of it, which I think is something that I really needed to learn, because I kind of get a stranglehold on the creative aesthetic of something and go, it must sound like this. So when I write a song, sometimes I can hear all the parts, and then I go and demo all the parts, and then it's set, and then, you know, once it's demoed like that, it's really hard to I get used to it, and then I don't want to change it, because it becomes, you know, that's just what it is. So now I'm teaching myself how to write a song just on an instrument and voice, and if it stands up just with those two things, then the creative process can, you know, can blossom with other people inputting after that. Yeah, it's a learning process.
So having recorded the album, was it difficult to work out how to play the songs live?
Yep, it was for the most part. It's tricky because I'm choosing to just do it as a duo, and the album is very rich, lots of different layers and instruments. So some songs would need maybe 5 or 6 people to do it with harmonies and, you know, all parts. So, but I want to be able to tour it easily. So I've just got a drummer, and he triggers some samples, and I switch from bass and guitars and synths and vocals, and I've got a reverb vocal for a big washy effect and things. So I've got it down to getting a pretty close approximation of the songs with just 2 people.
And which song are you most proud of on the album?
I think probably The New Old Fashioned on the record, simply because it was one of those songs that just came out really quickly, and, you know, there wasn't a lot of teething with it, and I didn't have to develop it much. Just one of those magic moments in your life when the song seems to happen to you rather than the other way around. Yeah, it's nice.
So what's in store for 2016?
2016. I think I'll do one more tour on the back of this record, and we're going to release it in the States as well, a tour over there, which is really cool, and a few pretty big announcements to be made in the new year as well, concerning Australia and the US. So pretty exciting times. Yeah, and maybe another record. I'm already thinking about it.
Right, Ethan Mulholland, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
I'm in withdrawal, and there's so long left to go.